How did it go over when the players saw it for the first time?
Jordy, they were really excited. I mean, they had heard whispers of what it might be, and they didn't really believe it until they saw it. And when they got in there, they really understood it and loved everything about it. The reason we did it was for those guys to have the ability to have a place that, between workouts and class or between class and practice, to have a place to lay down, and rest, and also have everything that they need right there at their hands.
I think your biggest accomplishment here, and you guys did a fantastic job of kind of incorporating everything, and we'll talk about it coming up, was keeping this a secret, right? I mean, like, the guys use the facility every day. They work out there in the indoor, they're in the weight room, and nobody even got a glimpse of what this thing was going to look like. How'd you guys keep it so lock and key, keep it under secret so long?
Well, we have a great contractor here with Arkell, and they've done a great job of keeping security and keeping all their subs, understanding the secrecy of it and understanding exactly what's going on. Very few people involved in the whole program even saw it. Even people in the equipment room, training room, places like that never saw it until maybe Friday when it was ready for people to understand what it was about. People have heard about it, but it's one of those things where everybody worked together and understood it was a secret, and that we didn't really want everybody in the world knowing what we were trying to pull off until we successfully did it. The players bought in on it too. They didn't really want to see it until it was ready. They didn't go sneaking around trying to find it. They really bought into, what, this is going to be for us, and we're going to be excited when we see it.
Yeah, and how great for them after a year of bussing around and back and forth from the stadium. Now they're in the top facilities in the nation. But okay, Greg, so how long, for the people out there listening, how long have you been at LSU?
I've been at LSU about 27 years. I started as a student in the early 90s, and I've been on staff since 1998.
So when I was thinking about how they've been bussing back and forth or whatever, now they're in the new football ops, I can't help but remember back to when I was in school and hearing the Saban guys talk about the facilities, right? Because even then, they didn't have the football ops that was built in '05, and they used to talk about bussing back and forth and how much harder things were. What's it like for you to see that firsthand, that rise to where you are now?
I'll tell you, T-Bob, when I first got here, and a lot of guys laugh, a lot of the older guys when they come back laugh. In the early 90s, we had 4 separate locker rooms with wooden lockers with pegs in them. In the mid 90s, we kind of graduated to having nice oak lockers, really fine lockers. They were real classy. In the 2000s, we started working on this building. Came into this building with a much brighter locker that was kind of a custom design locker. Then once we moved into football ops, we redid Tiger Stadium and modernized it, got it with some LED lighting and things like that. And now, these guys got to spend a year bussing back and forth. We were worried a little bit about them understanding the transportation and the timing of it and making sure they scheduled themselves. A lot of it, they were on their own to get to workouts on time. There wasn't bus schedules and things like that because we're in 2 separate facilities. But they worked through it, and we were successful, I mean, we didn't let that bother us. The guys kept clicking along. And now, we move it. We got in here yesterday, revealed the building to them. This morning, I was here at about 6 o'clock. The guys started rolling in. We actually moved them into the locker room last night after the reveal. We moved all their stuff in. So they woke up this morning, came straight here. They walked into the locker room, got dressed, and now they're in the weight room working out. So it's like nothing ever changed for those guys. A couple of them got kind of turned around last night in the reveal just because some things have changed in the building, the directions. But the pathway from the locker room door to the weight room hasn't changed. Pathway from the locker room door to the indoor hasn't changed. So those guys, they fit right back in. A couple of the freshmen and even some of the sophomores that have never seen this building were like, "Where do we go?"
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. That's weird. Yeah, that's something you don't think about.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling some of them, "Hey, just go to the weight room." They're like, "Which way is that?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun this morning and last night.
We're talking to Greg Stringfellow, Director of Equipment at LSU legend. And so you talked about kind of the evolution of lockers. And here's what me and Jordy just touched on. What y'all have done here, it's not just unprecedented in college football, it's unprecedented anywhere. Can you give us some kind of, how did that design come about? Like the inspiration from international first-class pods on planes. Like, how did that process come about?
You know, we actually, this building now that it's built is in the second generation of the design. We really started this process back in 2014.
Wow.
To design a building, to try to make it the top-notch building. And really we were building in, through Jack and I and a lot of stuff that we've done, we were building in a sleeping room. The sleeping room was going to be a room that was going to have like 8 to 10 bunk beds in it. Something where a couple of guys could go. The players' lounge was going to be in a weird spot. And, we just kept thinking like there's got to be a better way to utilize the space. So Jack and I started talking a little bit and said, you know what? And I told him, why don't we maximize the locker room and figure out how to do a bed in the locker? And Jack worked a lot of stuff. Jack worked on like a futon or even like a bed folds out of the locker into a bed, things like. And he and I went through a lot of stuff. We kept going through things, and I'll tell you, it's funny. We had a delay coming home from Green Bay after the game where there was a plane issue and we had to switch planes. And we've been on these planes before with the international first class lay down seats and all. Well, I got stuck on the plane that had to wait, and I kind of got up on the plane, got in one of those first class pods and sat there. I started looking around the plane, and Louis Bourgeois was with me, and we started talking about stuff. And we looked in there, and we're like, who maximizes their space better than an airplane?
That's true. That's a great point.
An airplane has to fit the most amount of people in the smallest amount of space, and the first class pods have to make it super comfortable. So I started taking pictures of them and started thinking about it. I went back to Jack and I said, this is the idea we need to run with. So Jack kind of jumped on it and said, he started calling around to find out who makes these things, who makes it for airplanes. Well, in Jack's research, we found out that those things have so much technology in the airplane pods, so much safety equipment to make sure they're sitting all the plane standards and stuff. We weren't looking for something that had to be fit in an airplane. We were looking for something that fit in our box. How can we maximize the space in our box? I love the openness of the locker room. That's something that nobody in college or pro football has unless you build an enormous room that you can put people on the exterior walls. Other than that, you can't do it with a small space. And we were trying to make sure the rest of the space of the building we had enough space for everybody else to have what they wanted.
Where's the shoulder pads go?
See, that's the question I got asked by about 3 guys last night, and that's the key part to this building.
I was kind of wondering.
We're building a mud room in this building. It's built. It just didn't come out last night with the reveal just because it's kind of a back of the house area. But when the guys walk off the practice field, there's a room we designed there with shoe dryers. We'll have room for about 400 pair of shoes. And we'll have racks on the wall where the guys hang their shoulder pads, and it ventilates them, it dries them. All the air is ventilated out of the room so that we keep all the smell out of the locker room itself and also keep the clean lines in the locker room. So really it's a dual-part room where we can have all their football equipment, and it keeps it more sanitary. And there's ways to keep that room sanitary to keep all the smell and all the germs, the sweat, stuff like that out of the locker room itself. So that's a key thing, reading a bunch of the comments and stuff like that. Everybody's like, well, where do you put your shoulder pads at? Well, we thought about that, We thought about you got to build another room, and it doesn't have to be a huge room. It just has to be a big enough room to hold all of the equipment and keep it sanitized.
I mean, that's crazy. The smell's going to be gone. Okay, Greg. So it's not just a locker room, though. What are some of the other amenities in this building outside of the locker room that were revealed yesterday?
I mean, T-Bob, the dining facility is unbelievable. I mean, it really is. It changes the way we do things. That's something we've never had before. A lot of people are starting to build them in. Having an executive chef here in the building, working on menus with our nutrition staff and our coaching staff and training staff, it showed itself last night. I walked in there yesterday about 1 o'clock when they were really doing a lot of prep stuff, wanted to make sure everything was going well. I started looking around at the food. There was things in there that I couldn't believe I was seeing in an athletic dining facility. The seafood, the prime rib roast.
Ooh.
I mean, it was fine dining at its best. And the guys, when they walked in the line and started looking at things, they're like, what is that? These lobster things they had, all this different stuff, and the menus they did were unbelievable. I unfortunately didn't get to go through the line and taste test everything because we were trying to make sure the locker room was ready when Coach was ready to go in there. But that room itself is unbelievable. There'll be a lot of little bits and pieces that come out over the next several weeks of this building that we're going to talk about. It's really overwhelming. The guys ran around and saw kind of the highlights. The Tyrann Matthew Players Lounge is unbelievable. It's something we've never had here. It's something that wasn't designed into football ops the first time around, and we really wanted to do something for the players to have them a place where they can hang out, like a hangout room. Yeah, the locker room's for relaxing. I can dim the lights in there. They can take naps. There's not a lot of technology in the locker room, and that's intentional. We put a place in for their iPads. Everybody's issued an iPad. They can watch TV on it. They can watch game film. They can do whatever it is they do. But I didn't want all these TVs. You know, we talked about it. We didn't want all this technology in there to brighten the room, and we wanted it to be a relaxing space where guys could personalize their experience. The Players Lounge, on the other hand, there's probably 6 PlayStations in the Players Lounge. There's TVs. There's a movie theater room. There's just a lot of stuff that's going to come out on that room. Meeting space. Our meeting space is incredible now. Every position has a room. We have a room that hasn't even been talked about yet. And you know, this walkthrough facility that we've built in, we're the first team in college football that has that, and it'll be discussed more in the future, and people will get to see that. The graphics package in here is unbelievable. The graphics people did a great job of kind of taking our vision and putting it into play. There's just some really cool graphics, saluting our NFL players, our All-Americans, all the players from different eras. You know, just a lot of stuff like that goes into the building.
Your team did a great job, man, from social media. The place looks fantastic. Can't wait to get over there and check it out firsthand. Thank you for
the social media staff. I want to give them a shout-out, too, because they did a great job last night kind of taking the vision of what we were trying to do and really throwing it out there so everybody kind of got a glimpse of it.
Greg, has any recruit seen this?
Just what you saw on TV and social media last night. All
Yep.
they've seen.
Great work, man. Thank you for this morning.
Yes, sir, guys. Thank y'all.
There he is.
String.
Greg Stringfellow, Director of Equipment, checking in here with new facility update. Let's get out of here before Rivers kills us.